Hurricane Ida blasts ashore as one of the most powerful storms ever to hit the U.S. Africa records nearly 8 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 and more than 190,000 deaths. In Yemen, a drone and missile attack leaves at least 30 Yemeni soldiers dead and also 60 wounded. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. And now we begin with the news. Cuban residents have begun to repair damage caused by Hurricane Ida as strong winds and currents left devastation in the western part of the island. According to authorities, over 11,700 people have been evacuated to be hosted in shelters. In addition, damage to housing roofs, electricity, and the agricultural sector are also reported. More than 40 emergency groups are working to solve the affectations of the cities of San Cristobal and Pinar del Rio.
It was very scary because we did not expect it to be so fast this way. We had already experienced Gustav, which was very strong. It was very scary because we did not expect it to be so fast this way.
And Ida downgraded to tropical storm as it advances across the southern United States. In its path, the cyclone left one dead and the entire city of New Orleans in darkness after damage to the power grid connections. The U.S. National Hurricane Center reported that warnings remain in effect for storm surge, damaging winds, heavy rain, and flash flooding over southeastern Louisiana and also southern Mississippi. Ida is moving northwards as tropical storm after making landfall on Sunday as a powerful Category 4 hurricane with maximum winds of 240 kilometers per hour. The cyclone killed a 50-year-old man in the town of Ascension Parish and left extensive damage across large parts of Louisiana. And the U.S. President Joe Biden decreed a major disaster in Louisiana following the landfall of Hurricane Ida. On Sunday night, the head of the White House declared that the government is already working arduously to help the Gulf Coast region recover as quickly as possible. With the declaration of a major disaster, federal funds are granted to warranty the temporary relocation and repair of homes of those affected, as well as to allocate low-cost loans to cover damages in businesses and insurance properties, among others. Residents of New Orleans' lower 9th Ward brace for Hurricane Ida, 16 years after Hurricane Katrina devastated the city. Ahead of the Ida's arrivals, showers and strong winds swept New Orleans' deserted streets throughout the morning, buffeting boarded-up windows and businesses and homes surrounded by sandbags.
I'm just praying to God that the levees hold, the storm come through, a lot of rain, a lot of wind. You know, just expecting power lines, lost the power, you know, trees down, you know, can't get through the roadway until the emergency units come. And once they come and clear everything out, you know, I guess I'll come back down there to see what I lost.
Meanwhile, in Mexico, Hurricane Nora is heading towards the coast of the state of Colima and Jalisco. However, authorities warned that the effects of the storm will be felt in 10 other states. Meteorologists reported that Nora is moving through the eastern Pacific Ocean towards the area of Puerto Vallarta and also is expected to advance to the peninsula of Baja California once it makes landfall. The authorities warned of heavy rains and waves with winds of 130 kilometers per hour in the state of Jalisco and Colima. The Venezuelan government continues with humanitarian operations to assist the victims in Mérida and other states affected by heavy rains. On Saturday, the government delivered food, medicine, and biosecurity elements to communities that are without communication in the state of Mérida. A situation room was also installed to coordinate the search and rescue efforts, attention to the victims, and the clearing of the access roads to assist with the arrival of help. President Nicolás Maduro Moros signed an emergency decree for 90 days due to the damage caused by the floods, which affected 85 municipalities, killing 20 people and also leaving hundreds injured. And now we move on. Rescuers keep digging through rubble in Haiti 2 weeks after a deadly earthquake. More than 2,200 people have died and nearly 12,000 others injured, according to a provisional toll after the magnitude 7.2 earthquake of August 14th. More than 130,000 homes were destroyed or damaged, along with other infrastructures such as roads. Construction vehicles are still trying to remove the debris, while Haitian families struggle in the aftermath of the earthquake. $187 million given by the UN will be used to provide shelter, water and sanitation, emergency healthcare, food protection, and early recovery. Intense floodings hit Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Flooding is an annual hazard during the July-September rainy season in Cameroon's largest port city, but impelled by suspected climate change and worsened by urban planning and blocked drains, such events have become more and more frequent. The latest report from the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says that coastal cities are on the front line of the climate crisis. It also predicts floods will displace millions of Africans in the coming decades, and by 2015 inflict costs of up to $60 billion per year in the 136 largest coastal cities.
It only woke us up at 2 o'clock. You wake up in bed. The neighbor comes to knock on the door. You jump up like this. Your feet are in the water. That's when you start to look to check that the children are okay. The musical devices, the refrigerators, the fans are not working anymore. Everything fell in the water.
Douala is located in an area that is a low coastal plateau on relatively low-lying lands. It has very low altitudes coupled with significant rainfall of about 4,000 millimeters per year. And when we add to that the very high density of the hydrographic network, the city of Douala is more or less, from a geographical point of view, at high risk of flooding.
We'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back. Africa records nearly 80 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 and more than 190,000 deaths. According to Africa's Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, South Africa has by far the largest reported burden of COVID-19 cases in the continent. Its 2.7 million confirmed cases are about 35% of the 7.6 million reported by all Africa's 54 countries. South African Health Minister Joe Phohala said the nation's current surge, driven by the Delta variant, has been more prolonged than the sharp spikes and falls since in the first two waves, and highlighted that it is urgent for the country to vaccinate as many people as possible before the next surge, which could be in November. And August 28th marked the 38th anniversary of Latin America's largest trade union federation, Brazil's Unified Workers Central, or CUT. In Sao Paulo, our correspondent Brian Meir has the story.
There's work to be done in the neighborhoods, at the bus stops. But what's most important is that nobody walked through the door of the factory.
Rising out of the wildcat strikes in São Paulo's ABC region that helped bring down Brazil's military dictatorship, The Centro Único dos Trabalhadores, or CUT, was founded on August 28, 1983. In a process led by Lula, a coalition of steelworkers, bank tellers, teachers, chemical workers, civil servants, and rural leaders created what is now the largest labor union organization in Latin America and the fifth largest in the world.
It is important in this moment we are going through, due to the 2016 coup and the thousands of daily attacks against the workers and democracy, that we continue fighting for the interests of the workers.
Brazil's labor movement has suffered loss of membership due to robotics and computerization, and neoliberal labor reforms after the 2016 coup damaged it financially. But CUT continues to be the largest mobilizing force within the Brazilian left, bringing hundreds of thousands of people onto the streets to fight the Bolsonaro administration in 2021 alone.
A CUT é uma central sindical.
The CUT is a union organization that builds socialism on a daily basis. The CUT, with its 38 years, is ready to move forward, organizing and preparing for difficult times, but will never bow to capitalism and will never bow to governments like the Bolsonaro administration.
A governos da natureza do Bolsonaro.
The CUT will take it to the streets once again to demand the impeachment of Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro on September 7th. Brian Mir, TeleSUR, São Paulo.
Thank you, Ryan, for your report. And nearly 200 nurses and doctors from public hospitals in mainland France have taken off from Orly Airport to their way to help their colleagues in the Caribbean islands as they battle a surge of COVID-19 cases. France's overseas territories across the globe, but especially the islands of Martinique and Guadeloupe in the Caribbean, are seeing skyrocketing virus cases and hospitalizations amid vaccination rates. Guadeloupe was seeing over 1,700 cases for 100,000 inhabitants, and Martinique 1,165. French President Emmanuel Macron said that one of these territories, the vaccination is still at a very low rate, a third that of mainland France. Just 20% of people over the age of 12 are double vaccinated, compared with 66% in mainland France.
I was allowed by my managers to have 15 days to go help in Martinique, because during the first wave we received a lot of help from outside, in and around Paris, and so it is normal to provide help in return. I think it is a pretty tense situation because I have a colleague who has been a coordinator there for 15 days, and she called me just before we got onto the bus here. So it's pretty tense and pretty busy as far as the amount of work we have to do.
For the seventh consecutive weekend, thousands rally in Paris to protest against President Emmanuel Macron's COVID health pass. Demonstrators gathered at Place Jouffre in Paris at the call of the right-wing politician Florian Philippot. This is one of 4 demonstrations planned from the capital for this weekend against the health pass. Under the system introduced progressive since mid-July, anyone wishing to enter a restaurant, theater, cinema, long-distance train, or a shopping center must show proof of vaccination or a negative test. Greek police have clashed with thousands of people protesting against a new rule obliging that all personnel working in hospitals be vaccinated. Sporadic violence broke out during the rally in the capital Athens on Sunday, when a group of demonstrators threw stones and bottles at the police, who responded with tear gas. The demonstrators waved Greek flags and brandished placards declaring, "We are not against vaccines, but against fascism," and "Long live democracy." The measure, which came into effect on Wednesday, requires that all personnel working in hospitals must be vaccinated. In Nigeria, 32 students who had been held hostage since July were released. The Christian Association of Nigeria confirmed the release of a group of 32 students out of the 121 who were kidnapped at the beginning of July from the Bethel Baptist Secondary School in Kaduna State. On July 5th, armed men attacked the school located in the town of Shikuna before taking 121 students, 58 of whom have already been released, and now 32 more. According to UNICEF data, at least 950 students were kidnapped by armed groups between December and early July.
Today is a greatest day to me Today is a greatest day. It's an honor to the people of Tegina community. We have encountered different kind of tribulation. We have encountered different kind of, in fact, sleepless night, and a days with hunger that we cannot eat anything because we are thinking of our children. Alhamdulillah, they are back. I have submitted these children. I have given these children to their family and guidance. I've seen my own child.
Security, we know, it's a duty of every responsibility of everybody, and the government has a higher responsibility of other people. So already they say prevention is better than cure, and when you prevent, it will reduce cost. Because by the time, if there is prevention of prevention, all this issue of this are going to have a less cost. So I think this thing will not happen.
And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Yemen, a drone and missile attack leaves at least 30 Yemeni soldiers dead and 60 wounded at the Al Enad base in the southwest of the country. According to the spokesperson for the Arab coalition forces that control southern Yemen, Mohammed al-Nukib, the number of victims could rise because of rescue operations is still underway on the site. This military complex is located some 60 kilometers north of Aden. Yemen has been in armed conflict since 2014 between supporters of the former president Abdel Rabbu Mansour Hadi and the Houthi rebels of the movement.
We were gathered inside the hangar after breakfast. We saw an aircraft hovering and we tried to fire at it and bring it down, but we couldn't hit it. The craft flew over and headed directly towards the hangar, where it fired 2 missiles at the first unit.
There are still bodies under the rubble, some of which are burned and others are destroyed even further. We are waiting for them to roll here so the necessary measures can be taken.
And now we continue. A rocket has hit a neighborhood northwest of Kabul's international airport amid U.S. evacuation. Afghan police chief reported that a strike killed at least 6 people, including 4 children. The strike hit a residential building, leaving others injured. The Pentagon confirmed the blast was caused by the U.S., targeting suicide bombers in a vehicle. This incident comes after the U.S. President Joe Biden warned of another terrorist attack in the capital, as a massive airlift of tens of thousands of Afghans entered its last days. The U.S. military says 2 high-profile ISIS-K planners were killed in a drone strike in eastern Afghanistan. The airstrike was launched less than 48 hours after the explosion at Kabul airport that killed at least 175 people, including 13 U.S. citizens.
U.S. military forces conducted an over-the-horizon counterterrorism operation against an ISIS-K planner and facilitator. The airstrike occurred in the Nangarhar province of Afghanistan. I can confirm, as more information has come in, that 2 high-profile ISIS targets were killed and 1 was wounded. And we know of 0 civilian casualties. Without specifying any future plans, I will say that we will continue to have the ability to defend ourselves and to leverage over-the-horizon capability to conduct counter-terrorism operations as needed.
And dozens of people have gathered near the Eiffel Tower in Paris to show their support for the women of Afghanistan following the Taliban takeover. The protesters said they feel that women in Afghanistan will no longer be safe and asked the French government to open the borders to welcome Afghan evacuees, prioritizing women and children. Final evacuations from Kabul were taking place on Saturday before the planned withdrawal of the U.S. forces on August 31st. Taliban forces sealed off Kabul's airport on Saturday to most Afghans. The Taliban have encouraged Afghans to stay, pledging amnesty even to those who fought against them.
Here is to fight against the oppression coming from the Taliban in Afghanistan and to ask to open the frontier and to allow the refugee to come in France and to be welcome in France. This gathering.
Delegations from several countries arrived in Iraq's capital, Baghdad, to participate in a summit which main focus will be to diffuse regional tensions, in particular between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The Baghdad Conference for Cooperation and Partnership Summit will also focus on the situation in Afghanistan, the war in Yemen, the collapse of Lebanon, and the regional water crisis. Delegations from France, Egypt, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, and Qatar have already arrived in Baghdad to participate in the high-level meeting. The Iranian government welcomed the regional initiatives and said that Syria should have been invited. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.